Good evening all, and welcome to another video on All Hail the Ale. Tonight we are going for another supermarket showdown. It's IPA time, but which two is it? It's these two. It is New World from Northern Monk and Life and Death from Vocation. And the whole point of the supermarket showdowns is purely for fun. We're pitting two beers against each other just to see which of the two I prefer. Now, I've enjoyed both of them many times over the recent years. Yeah, recent years. And, you know, I've never really put them up against each other in any way, shape or form, but that all changes tonight. So we're going to put them up against each other and compare the 5 pillars of judgment, which are the looks, the aroma, the body, the taste, and the finish, just to see which one comes out on top. And remember, it's just for fun. So, a little bit about each beer. We're going to start with the Life and Death from Vocation. It says on the side of the can that we brew bold beers and serve punchy pints because that's the way we like them. From a hilltop in Yorkshire, we'd rather set benchmarks and trends, only making beer that we're proud to put our name on. And it goes on to say about the beer in particular, this is Life and Death. 3 kilos of hops and 40 kilos of barley selflessly give their lives to brew every barrel of this beer. It's a lot to ask, but the reincarnation as this life-affirming IPA makes their sacrifice worthwhile. Life and Death is a ballsy US-style IPA. Expect flavours and aromas of tropical and citrus fruits with a lingering bitterness against a smooth, malty backbone. I like the sound of that a lot, and I've enjoyed the taste of it a lot more. It's rich and golden in colour, tropical fruit aromas with a fruit salad taste. So that's contender 1. And contender number 2 says a lot less on the can. It's New World IPA. It's a 6.2% ABV IPA, and 6.5 on the Life and Death. I completely forgot to tell you that. And it says very little on this can of New World other than it's hoppy, tropical and zesty. So, we're going to start, and we're going to pour them each into their appropriate glassware. We are going to start with Life and Death, because I can. Really, it's alphabetical. So L for Life and Death. I know it's V for Vocation, so they come second, but who cares? My train set, I'm making up the rules. Anyway, here we go. The pour is pale, hazy. It's a lovely, lovely beer. So, we've got a few more bubbles than I care to think about on that glass. I need to sack the glass cleaner. So, we have a slightly hazy golden IPA with a good 2.5 fingers of white head that is reasonably compact and consistent. We do have a nucleated glass here as well, so we're going to have a nice sort of addition to that head, and it should hopefully stick around a bit longer. So, it's a lovely looking beer right there. So, New World into the Northern Monk glass. The pour is very similar. See if we can get a similar head just for comparative reasons. Similar-ish. So again, we have a beer that is golden in colour, slightly bigger head. We've got a full 3 fingers here. You've got a bit of haze. You've got some inclusions going through the beer in this instance, hinting at the unfiltered nature of the beer. So yeah, it is a good looking beer. Now, when you compare the two side by side, there is bugger all difference. You know, if anything, the colour is almost identical. The only real difference is there are inclusions in the New World. Heads are fundamentally the same. If anything, the Vocation's head was slightly tighter, and yeah, we've got a slightly unfair playing field here. We've got a non-nucleated glass for the Northern Monk, but you know, the two side by side, very little to tell between them. The only thing I can see is the inclusions in the Northern Monk. I'm going to give the point to the Vocation for that one. It is a slightly better looking beer because it's a little bit more of what it is. You know, clearer, not clearer, but more. You know what I'm trying to say. It's a point to Life and Death, and so that's 1-0 so far. So next up is the aroma. So again, we're going to go with the Vocation first of all. So it said there tropical fruits, and it doesn't lie. It's really strong. Mango, pineapple, lemon. Oh, it's delicious. Slight bit of resin. Oh yeah, that is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Lots of mango. The pineapple at times comes through sweet, then it comes through underripe. You've got zesty lemon. Then you've got a nice green aroma coming through. It's not grassy, it's not lime, but it's like a real fresh note. And there is a malt there as well. It's a sweeter malt, and it's just sitting in the background. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful aroma. So for the New World, it's lighter on aroma than Life and Death, but it's more resinous. You've got a little bit of, well, you say you've got pine, you've got citrus, you've got a real almost boozy note coming through it as well, and it is a little bit stronger. No, weaker, sorry, it's 6.2, but it's got more booze on the nose. And there is a hint of tropical, but much more pine resin on the aroma for the New World. They are both brilliant in different ways. Big tropical versus pine resin. Now, I love both. This is tricky. For the scent, I do look for strength. I am looking for bits of each, really. I do love the resin of the Northern Monk, but I do love that big juiciness of the Life and Death. This is so tough. I've got to give it to the Vocation. I have to, purely because there is a bit of resin, but there's more of everything else. So it is 2-0. Yep, I'm losing the chalk to the Vocation Life and Death. Next up is the body. So we are going to go for the Life and Death first of all, of course. It's got a good body to it. It's nice, slightly more than medium, not much more, ever so slightly the other side of medium, verging towards the heavier end. It's a smooth mouthfeel. There is just a hint of sort of zesty effervescence on the tongue as well. Really rather good. And the New World, very similar in body strength. It's slightly to the right of medium, but it's also a little bit smoother on the tongue. It's a softer carbonation. Which one wins? Well, that is entirely subjective. You know, some people, the body itself is indistinguishable. It's all about the carbonation here, and what do you prefer? Let's go back to them. New World, definitely softer. Life and Death, a little bit more zesty in terms of the effervescence. I'm not sure I can call that one yet. I'm going to put that down as a draw at the minute, only because I'm going to revisit it towards the end and see if it becomes a deciding factor. At the minute, though, it's 2-0 in favour of Life and Death. We come to the taste. That is the most important thing. And again, we're going to go for the Vocation first. So remember, it promises a fruit salad taste, and it does not disappoint. You've got a hit of resin, ever so slightly bitter, and those tropical fruits just come rampaging over your tongue. The pineapple is king, and then the mango sits there, and there is something else just sitting there on the back end. It's a little bit passion fruit-like, it's a little bit like a guava. It's just, there's so much complexity to the tropical flavours here, it's unreal. And there's that lovely bit of resin as well. That is what you call a complete package when it comes to a craft IPA. New World. New World is all about the spiky, bitter resin. And I love that in an IPA. You know, when I go for an IPA or a dipper, I do look for big, punch you in the face like a freight train level of hop and resin, and New World has it in abundance. It's bitter to the very end. It's hoppy as they come. There is a little bit of zestiness in there, and it's a real sort of sharp, sherbety lemon. You know, the kind of lemon when you stick a wedge of it in your gob and it pulls your arse up to your elbows. That's the kind of bitterness you've got going on. And the zestiness at the same time. That is two very different flavours. But which one wins? You know, you've got big tropical flavours with a hint of resin from the Vocation Life and Death, and then you've just got balls to the wall hops, resin and bitterness from the New World. I love them both. I really do. And because they're so different, it's so hard to call. They both appeal to me in big ways. And like I say, when I'm going for an IPA with massive hops, New World is the one I gravitate to. And when I want something a bit on the more tropical fruity side, I do gravitate towards the Life and Death. In this instance, it's like asking which of my kids I prefer. Is it my son or my daughter? It's a real tough one, and it's not a conversation I'm ever prepared to answer. So I'm going to call this one a draw as well. It's a cop-out score really. So far, it's 2-0 to the Life and Death, which means it's unassailable. But can New World claw one back with the finish? Let's find out. So we all know that I look for longevity and bitterness and hops on a finish of an IPA. So what do we get? Well, with the Life and Death, the flavour is wonderful. It really is. It's so well balanced. When it comes to the finish, it starts off juicy, tropical, slightly sweet, and then it fades into bitterness. And the resin just kind of grows, and it's kind of just like a snowball effect. Towards the end of the finish, it's bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's quite long. It's still going now, and it's wonderful. It keeps you wanting to go back for another sip, and that, to me, is the mark of a really good beer. If it makes you want to have more, you can't go wrong. You've got a killer recipe. As for the New World, it starts off big, spiky, bitter, hoppy, resinous, and it continues. It's slightly drier, I must say. The New World just has that kind of cleansing effect in your mouth, and it's still going, but it's kind of a big kind of drop off at the end. The fading is not subtle. It's just drop off at the end, and then just get that malt sitting there on the backbone. Oh, excuse me. Really rather nice. Just going to have a sip of that. But which do I prefer? Well, like I say, Life and Death, it's sweet, it's tropical, juicy, bitter, hoppy, and it's got a nice, long, subtle tail off. And the New World, it's just balls to the wall up front. Bitter, spiky, hoppy, resinous to the core, and there's just a drop off right at the end in terms of the bitterness. The Vocation has a slightly longer finish, and for me, you've got a bit of everything on the Vocation, whereas the New World, it's kind of a one-trick balls to the wall pony of hops and bitterness. So tricky. I'm going to give it to the Vocation in this sense because it's a little bit more well-rounded. I love the fact that the New World just pulls no punches and just gives you everything, but it runs out of steam right at the very end, whereas the Vocation is just kind of playing the long game, and it plays it well. You've got a little bit of everything, and that bitterness just kind of comes at the end and rises and just gives you what I'm looking for right at the very end before you go in for the next sip. So yeah, it's 3-0 with 2 draws on the body and the taste. So Vocation wins it in this instance. However, as I often find with these showdowns, I pick the beers that I know I enjoy. So in my opinion, you are not going to lose whichever beer you go for out of the 2. It's just a case of what do you prefer. If you prefer slightly sweeter, more well balanced, and just an all-round killer recipe, you are going to go for the Life and Death because it delivers on all fronts. Juicy, hoppy, tropical, bit of pine resin. But if you just want a brutal smack in the face with hops and resin, then you're going to go for the New World because it delivers exactly that and then some. So yeah, you're not going to lose in any respect here. So Ladies and gents, boys and girls, we're at the point in the video where I'm going to say down there are some buttons. You know exactly what to do with them by now. You've got like, comment, dislike and subscribe. Choose any combination of them as you wish, and do let me know in the comments section which of the two beers is your favourite. Is it Life and Death or is it New World? Or do you like them both equally? And on that note, I'm going to go drink the rest of these beers, get the video uploaded for your viewing pleasure, and I will catch you again soon for another one. Bye.